Play moderator. Okay. 7 o'clock. Corrections to and approval of the past minutes of the May 2nd, 2022 meeting. Any corrections?
I don't think I really looked at it, but I'll move to accept it.
Second,
I'll second it. John.
any comments? No comments? Accepted as approved? All in
Yep.
favor?
Hi.
Okay, correspondence?
As it relates to other stuff on the agenda. I'll just bring it up.
Remember to speak up for the ambient microphone,
Okay.
folks.
No correspondence on anything unusual.
Okay. Finances?
We don't have a updated report.
Okay.
All right, I mean, it's the same as 2 meetings ago, minus the stuff we voted to spend. So we paid for the Porta-John and we paid for the printing the brochures. And I haven't talked to the new finance person yet, but I talked to Paula and we still don't know whether the t-shirts are part of our budget from that they handed it to us previously. So I don't know.
Hi.
I had a question kind of about finances.
Yeah.
So I bought some items in like March and I can't find the receipt. So I'm not sure what I do, or do I do anything, or,
Well, make a list of what it was and
Okay.
approximately what you spent.
get
and
Okay.
You know from your charge card or whatever. And then we'll write up something in finance.
okay,
Yeah.
all right. I just wanted to make sure. I don't know. I meant to bring it up last meeting and I forgot, so.
Okay. If we're done with finances, then
Yeah.
we'll go on to citizens' comment.
Valerie's coming in, by the way.
I have October news. I think I gave you a deadline of June 1st, the last time we had a meeting. It's actually June 20th to get in the brochure. So if anyone wants to do a walk or event or what is that October thing you do in the park?
Community Day.
You need to get that in if you haven't already.
Thanks, Diane.
No problem.
Mine's already in and submitted. Well, not mine, but ours, I guess, better.
Still doing the tri-state again this
Yeah,
year?
I did 2, a morning one and an afternoon, and I don't remember the times off the top of my head. I haven't written down. I want to say like a 9 a.m. and then like a 1 or 2 or something like that.
It's under events anyway.
John, how many people did you have for your Connecticut Trails Day?
1.
Oh, man.
He was a very nice man. We had a good conversation. He does all kind of hikes and leads hikes in other areas and stuff. So it was actually, I had a good hike. I think I was much happier that it was one person because we had a great conversation the whole time. And
That's
where
it.
was it? The Orange Trail from Red Bridge Road up to Blaine Bridge and then back on the other side of the river.
I didn't know if there was something scheduled and I looked under Trails Day and did not see anything.
It was in there. Well,
If I couldn't find it, maybe other people could.
I think I
I don't
had
know.
4 people registered and we waited 15 minutes and he was the only one who showed up. So,
I'm missing everything, so I've got to get back into the loop here.
but it was a nice hike. I'll just say that Orange Trail, the first part, and they don't like us to do stuff, is overgrown. Other than that, it was really good. That's just like Cheney Road, the first maybe 2/10.
Did you let Ed know?
I haven't. I knew we were having the meeting and that was just Saturday. So, I mean, I can let Ed know.
We did that loop yesterday. We got lost a little bit. We ended up coming out at the gate instead of where we were supposed to come out on the trail
Oh,
on Red Bridge Road, but it was all good.
well, nice.
All right, so we're at trail updates. You did. You did. Any other updates for the trails?
Yeah, so we talked about that washout on the, and I just wrote to them again last week to follow up because I didn't get a response. And Matt Quinn just wrote back and said he's going to have to talk to other people. They don't have the budget or the equipment to do that.
Which washout?
Oh, you don't have to buy new equipment to do that. They don't have the budget for the equipment or for the person to drive the equipment.
He just said that he doesn't have the budget or, I mean, if we talked about Phil, maybe the state doesn't have, they can't bring a truck here to do Phil. I don't know what our Department of Public Works
Under 200?
situation. Yeah.
No,
No.
so it's right behind the condos. And what had happened is, I want to
Oh,
say,
yeah.
4 or 5 years ago, a tree fell down and somebody cut it back, but it didn't cut it past the trail, so it went into the ditch. And debris backed up on it and dammed it up, and then the water diverted around into the trail.
From the condos, almost all the way to 200 is horrible.
Yeah, it's a little bit, the trail's a little wonky, but that's a washout, literally, it's a couple feet deep,
Wow.
right to the edge of
I
the trail.
walked the trail from Mechanic. Actually, I almost walked the Putnam part because I walked from Cargill. So I did 6.8 miles from Cargill to my house. So I walked that whole section of the trail. And other than the washout areas, it looked good, but I told John it's getting very grown. We need to mow. It's not bad by Sunset Hill, but from Mechanicsville up to the 200 area, it's getting pretty thick on the sides. Even where we mowed, it's already grown back in
Yeah, I
because
saw.
good luck does it.
Yeah,
I think we need another work party to run the mower through there. We should do that at least once a month. How long's it been? When did we do it?
that one hasn't been done since last
I
year,
mean, the one
It's
that
on here, May 14th.
not even a month.
And our recap, I guess, of that was, it was me, Paul, and John, and Charlie came over and helped a little bit and was tired from riding his bike, so. So it was basically me, Paul, and John.
It worked pretty good.
I thought it worked awesome.
Once we get the,
Don't really need more than 3 people. Two people pick up sticks and one is driving the,
once we get it all cleaned out, there, we can just ride it through. All you do is you kind of need a co-pilot in case something happens.
maybe cut a little lower next time too. We didn't want to run into anything like rocks, but now that we went through there, we cut it a little shorter. It won't grow back in as high as quickly.
So you mowed from where to where?
We mowed from Sandam Road all the way to Lowell Davis Road, both sides. A little bit slower getting to Lowell Davis because we were throwing stuff away, but we did both sides when we were walking. So the ride back, we actually went pretty good.
Yeah, that would have been fast. And we were also talking next work party. That's going to be difficult, at least considering the principals involved. John is very busy in June and I am very busy on most weekends in June. So we had actually discussed maybe doing something in the evening on a weekday.
After work time.
Available most of the time, so if you guys can schedule something, just,
Okay.
you need at least 2 people that go with that.
No, I agree. Yeah.
Well, I also said if I know when the date is, if it helps, I can walk some of those areas myself and start picking things up. So when we bring the mower through, you don't even necessarily need anyone walking out in front.
But you want to be safe anyway, You don't want to,
Yeah, you never know if a rock has been thrown in your way or something. You should have at least that one person walking ahead.
So
are we pretty happy with them more?
I would say very happy with the mower.
Yeah, it runs really nice, it's quiet. We had no problems with it at all.
The on-off button that he put in the cab of the Kubota is awesome because somebody comes walking, and it stays running, but the blades stop turning. So it really kicks a lot of dust and stuff up. So you can let the people go by and then just start it right back up.
Walking by with their dogs and he just turned off the, disengaged the blade and.
good.
So it worked really well, everything about it. So I would say my daughter's graduating next week and I'm going on the class trip and then Father's Day is the
Oh,
weekend.
you get the
after that.
question.
So, look for something, maybe we can do something, maybe like the last week or something in June, somewhere in there. Right, because Father's Day is like the 19th or something, so like after then Father's Day, I would say, maybe we can do something if the weather's nice, like
I'm
after.
available almost all the time, so. I had somebody to go with me. Actually, if we could. I have no way of getting a trailer there, but we've left it at my house before and actually drove it from my house. I went with Charlie one time, about a mile right on a road, you know, it stopped you. The trail.
I don't think it's that bad to do from your house to the trail, but it's just a matter of the other end is gonna be cut. So if you drove all the way to the other
yeah.
end, you know what I mean?
It's a long ride.
That's a long ride just to get out there from your house. So
Yeah, but
To do another run of that section that we already did, if we had it at your house, you could do that without a problem.
and there are some sections that needed more work. There was some stumped in a way. When we came back, we ran into the problem where they had the big, all the big crushed stones, and it was kind of piled up. The blades kind of, you know, kind of get it because it was, you know, all built up.
Okay, so we're on to the train wreck site. I'll make a comment. Lyanne and I were at the same last Green Valley annual meeting last Thursday, and Tom Chase did a 10-minute program on the train wreck site, and he did a good job. I mean, you know, I know Tom can get very long-winded, but they gave him 10 minutes and he stuck to his 10 minutes, had his presentation. Lyanne, you did a good job.
He did a
You know?
good job, and I liked the interactive PowerPoint with the different colored trains. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, he had 4 colors for the trains so that people could understand it. That one was that, this one was that, that one was that. And, you know, Tom Chase, I thought, oh my God, but he did a real good job. So, well done. It, you know, I don't know if anybody can get a hold of it, but, you know.
I think that's the same PowerPoint they've been using for a while and
Oh,
different.
no, he made a new one.
Oh, he did make a new
Yes,
one?
He asked me
it's the
for a
fact
couple
that the
things.
train's crashing.
Oh,
You
okay.
know, and I mean, I'm sitting there and I'm, you
I know
know.
the old one had 4 different colored trains on it too.
Yeah, but this
I know
one here,
he was
they
working on
actually
it.
collide.
Ah,
You know, so it was like.
Pretty soon,
wow.
we're gonna need goggles that have augmented reality.
But it was well done, and, you know, you can take that pretty much anywhere, and it's a lot more, I want to say, understandable that, you know, you see this and you go, oh, well, how did that happen? Well, he goes along and the train goes kaboom, and the other one goes kaboom. So it was good.
So in terms of the grants, I still have not seen the contract back from CT Deep. I'm not too concerned about that. They said all along it was going to be months and months and months. I did have a con call with Brian Wilson, who is the interim person doing Lori Giannotti's job, and somebody from their acquisitions department, because they had a question about that little 1.1 acres that the Butlers own. I still don't have the MOU back from that, but I think that's just because I have trouble hooking up with Vern. I think they've actually signed it. But no work can begin there with the ARPA funds until we do the stuff with the CT Deep money, because the CT Deep money is the money that's covering the planning, acquisition, and legal. So it's all in a big holding pattern. But it's not outside expectations yet.
An MOU.
Memorandum of understanding for the use of that
I
1.1
figured I
acres
just never heard that.
until such time as the ownership gets transferred,
But that's something to do with
assuming
Cal.
that that's what happens, but I think that's the plan.
Have you heard anything about the sign? upgrade?
I was just gonna ask
Well, I
Karen.
was gonna ask you if you,
I have not seen
Because-
anything since your last set
all
of
right,
emails.
I sent them the instructions of what we decided and haven't heard anything, so I sent an email last week. Today, message.
Yeah, they're not quick to reply, but they are good when they finally do
All
reply.
right, so I'll just, I mean, he's got a message on his desk to let me know. I asked, did you do it yet? Are you in the middle, or when do you think, and but I thought maybe they'd done it and billed you already, because I haven't heard any.
I have definitely not
Okay.
seen a bill,
All right. I'll
but we
just
do
stay
definitely
on it.
have the money.
And the ARPA funds are available, it's just that we can't use them yet until the other work is done.
Correct.
We're
They
not-
are available. The ARPA funds are available to us, but the way
Yeah.
the funding is stacked, first set of money that gets spent has to be the CTD money because it's all the site work.
No, that makes perfect sense. I just didn't know if
And
the
that-
ARPA was released yet.
And that site work is for the turntable.
It's the site work, in this case, I mean, the design for the site work. So it's the whole site,
Okay.
right? Soup to nuts, even the parts that we didn't get grant funding for. And then, so it's, I would say roughly half of the funds that CTD awarded will go to that, and then the other half will go to legal fees and acquisition. We probably actually don't need $8,000 in legal fees and acquisition fees, but it's set aside for that, and if we have excess, then it'll just sort of flow toward the rest of the project. But the 150, 154-ish will cover the construction at the turntable site, and that includes all work, all of the clearing.
So somebody else is gonna do that, not the, I mean, the clearing, but even placing and figuring out the stones and all that stuff.
That'll all be part of the site
Oh.
plan, the survey. It's going to be a complete site plan.
Oh.
So that even once we've expended the ARPA money, which as we know, didn't cover the whole schmear, soup to nuts, we'll have that to submit later grant applications, say we've gotten this far, this is the next set of steps, and we won't have to repeat that work.
Ah.
So
So as we wait for Deep to do their thing, there's no deadline for using the ARPA.
there is, it's December of 2026.
Oh, I think we got a couple months.
I hope it doesn't take that.
I know.
I was really hoping we were going to get that stuff underway this summer, but that was before I found out how backed up Deep is. And I don't think that's unusual. We're still on the other little grant that, not that we have, that the Eastern Connecticut Conservation District has to do the native landscaping and low impact development when we start the Blaine Road bump out. That grant's like 3 or 4 years old, and they're just now getting their paperwork through from the state.
Hmm.
So
Would be doing the same work.
which site work? The train wreck, we've got quotes from some local guys, but because of the cost, we'll probably have to go to RFP on it. Unless, if it comes in at $10,000 or more, the town is required to go to RFP or invitation to bid or whatever. It's $10,000 or less. It's probably best practice to get multiple quotes, but we do have estimates. That's how we were able to submit a budget in the first place. So I would be inclined to heavily weight the award of that contract to people who gave us the estimates.
Okay, are we on to Spring Outdoors Connecticut Trail Day recap? Only
You
did
had it.
one.
And it did it.
Yeah. I had one person for the hike. It
Okay,
was a good hike, but not well attended.
well, you know, the Little League,
So Litter League has not gotten underway. We are essentially holding our strategy partly until we hear from TLGV whether we've been awarded an additional grant.
You should be hearing this week.
Okay, that timing's good. We have had in hand a T-shirt sponsor, which is Dave Labs. He says he would produce up to $1,000 worth of T-shirts. Everything got bottlenecked when Amanda and Brian were out at the same time for parental leave. So we did, after Amanda came back, she sent out a second round of letters, and we had some interested sponsors apply or, inquire. So we've got some interested sponsors for teams. So now the challenge is actually getting people to do it. So, once we know whether we've got the TLGV funds, how we organize that is going to change. We'll probably do an abbreviated pilot season for just a couple of months. And then sort of pick it up earlier next year. So, it'd be like a demo to get people used to the idea.
Yeah, it's hard to pick up trash right now because wherever you go, I mean, across from where I live, there's a mud hole, whatever you want to call it. And, you know, in the spring, you can pick up along the roadside there. But right now, the grass is this high, so you don't see what's in there. But I know there's trash because.
I know, because I wanted to make a second run, you know,
Yeah,
down on Sandan Road, and
Mhm.
Indian Inn, and it's like,
it grew
okay,
like-
things are getting high.
Yeah,
Right.
it grew so quick.
I still managed to fill a whole bag on my street I managed to fill a whole bag on my street Sunday.
Part of the thing with the Little
I
League
got-
is that
I
we
got
would
two
be,
ba- Two, what, are yellow bags.
I
there.
use, well, I use a smaller home bag.
We're gonna be specific.
correct.
problem
Part of the thing with
sites.
Little League was that they would be, the teams would be assigned sites.
So not so much roadside as maybe a trail. or
Right.
a
Yeah.
park.
Mhm.
Yeah, it could be roadsides if there are.
Actually, I think we were surprised how little litter there was on the trail when we went through. We could barely put a few things in
But
a
when we
pail.
went to the ribbon cutting.
Yeah, along the water.
Garbage.
Mhm.
Right, that's part of the flooding. When the flood comes, all that stuff washes down river and then it goes
I
down
haven't
and
been
it's.
down to Fisherman's Wharf in a while, that's.
Yeah,
been a problem. Yeah, so we didn't want to work with Army Corps. When
Yeah.
we start assigning.
Right.
But I'm a little confused about the logistics of it, because I was just at that last meeting and I'm just not sure. How are you gonna award winners to, one person sent, one team is sent here and another team is sent there, and then the next month, there shouldn't be that much garbage at that
So
place.
they
So
would
how
be,
you're
they would
gonna-
have to be different sites each time they're
Yeah.
assigned. So, yeah, we have to work out those details.
Yeah,
It's like
see,
everything else. The first time you do it, it's a little bit on the
It
fly.
might be somewhat subjective, I would think, because like we were talking bulk trash versus bag trash, and
yeah,
there's a lot of factors that can come into play. You can't just
so how you
say
pick a winner.
5 bags, but this guy brought in
Well, the
a
first
truckload
season,
of tires.
Everyone might be a winner. The first season, everyone might be a winner.
That would be great.
We'll see how that goes.
Hey, that would be great.
What
right?
is this? This would be a trail cleanup you're talking about?
Oh, no, so Litter League is the latest Fakakta thing that I came up with after having too much time alone.
That happens.
It is conceived as competitive litter collection in teams over
Say
a
scouts or
a
something.
a season, whatever we declare that
Oh.
season to be. So then some non-collecting volunteers would be volunteers to, essentially acknowledge how much trash they brought in.
And where would this trash be brought to? The transfer
No, the,
station?
Kind of
the highway garage, like
town-
the
the town
nips,
garage,
like
right?
the nips,
Huh?
like the nip bottles or. Garage.
Right. So we'd use a similar structure in terms of counting that we did with the NIPS. You drive through, you have your bags counted, blah, 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 blah. They get their voucher to go to the transfer station to drop it. And then the volunteers would tally. So, how many full bags? Is it
No, you're just
bulky?
talking volunteers, you're just talking about people just get together and, is that what? you
Right,
mean?
it's meant to be organized teams. They get little T-shirts with sponsors,
Your book club to do it.
Okay.
Or,
right? Or your church group or the
Yeah.
Girl Scouts
Okay.
or
Boy Scouts or whatever.
whomever,
Little League or
right.
something.
or-
Litter League for
or
Little League.
Third graders or however they.
Yeah, so think of it like a league. It's teams competing to win the championship or to win everything for town.
Which is not going to replace. table
No,
Right, no.
No, it's a
No,
supplement
this is
too.
something different, right?
Even just a thought on that, like how many team members they get, how many show up, would also be part of it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
you get 10 people to pick up trash, you're gonna pick up more than a team of 4.
Well, it depends on where you go. Some places got a lot of
More
trash,
trash,
some
right.
places are pretty clean.
Go to Wilsonville Road, you've got
Interesting.
Bonanza.
Yeah.
yeah, all the time.
yeah,
I saw
so,
somebody throw trash
so
the other day and I tried to give the
clearly,
license
the
plate
first
so
time we do
bad.
this, it's gonna be organizing on the fly, and then we'll know what it's gonna be for the first real season.
Is this something you would plan for, not our April cleanup, but more in the summer or no?
So what we had wanted to do, but again, we got bottlenecked because of the situation in rec, was to start essentially right after April cleanup with recruiting through May and then starting in June, it would have been starting
Starting
by
the
now.
event with Trails Day.
Yeah,
this
But
past
they just
Saturday.
had too much catch up. We're waiting to hear about the grant thing. We do have some funding in the stream, but we have to get the actual teams. But I think that'll be much easier to do if we know whether we have additional funding.
Right.
If we do, we will definitely start it this year. If we don't, we may push to next year, so that we can plan it through. Like, we could get the t-shirts this year. Right,
Pardon?
because we could get the t-shirts from Dave Labs this year and have them ready for next year, for example. Right, if it's just $1,000 worth of t-shirts, we just print $1,000 worth of t-shirts and we just have them. He would still be a
Was he
sponsor.
donating the shirts himself or his labor?
He said $1,000, and I believe that was for materials and labor.
Or whether that
So.
was just for him to do the work.
Would offer the whole kit.
Yeah, I think-
Very good.
Yeah, and
But nothing but good
obviously
stuff.
he gets his own sponsorship information on there. So, yeah. So, and I think the people who were interested were Fort Hill Farms, Hometown Bank, maybe Neil Patel, and there was a fourth one. Oh, and Larry Grove's accounting firm. So if we could,
Sponsors.
yeah, team sponsors.
No.
So that would be a not bad start if we can get then 40 people or up to 40 people to be the volunteers on those teams. But it's just moving slowly because we've been bogged down. One way or another, Little League is coming.
Okay,
I have gavelled it.
all right. October, the Tri-State Market Hike. Yeah, you're doing that one again, John?
Yeah, we didn't do it last year.
Yeah, we did.
I told you that. I sent you proof of that. That's why I thought you were doing something different.
Oh. So I went with it. So
Everybody
again,
loves
there's two hikes on the same day, a morning hike and then like an afternoon hike. Again, I had discussed that. Again, I'm fine to do the morning hike, I think, because I think we have a cookout that afternoon for the fire department. The chicken barbecue always runs on the kind of this, oh, no, it's not that day. It runs with community day, I think.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
There's always somebody doing a
October.
barbecue on Community Day.
Yeah. It's usually us because we do the first weekend in October.
You
And-
guys should just do it at Community Day. Should just bring those grills down and
Mhm.
set up a Community Day. You would kill it.
Have you seen our grills?
Well, they usually sell out anyway, don't they, John?
That depends.
Yeah.
We didn't sell out this weekend. They said I wasn't any part of it, unfortunately. I had other commitments, but I think they had 20 meals left, which is actually pretty good. But the price of chicken and everything.
But
just-
that's the problem, yeah. No matter what you touch, it's gone up.
Right, and our supplier was supposed to have, I don't even remember how many birds it was, but they were supposed to have them on like Saturday, and they were like, yeah, they didn't come in, so we had to scramble to find
Oh,
another 150
pieces.
chickens, no, whole chickens.
Oh, the whole
But then
chicken.
we cut them in half,
Oh, boy.
yeah. We'd get them in half if we could, but that's expensive.
So you need somebody to do that.
The afternoon one, yes, and Charlie said that he was interested in doing part of
Might be
that.
Available to do that. Then you have it.
Yeah, and my thought was to go to the tri-state marker and either go through the new trail that you put in, like either, I think coming back would be better because you come back and the arch is right in front of you when you come down that trail that way. So people could see it. But anyways, that's submitted to the last Green Valley and stuff, so it should be in the Walktober guide. I already got my confirmation email from them, so
Okay,
there is no rain date.
Community Day. Hello.
Well, it's October 1st.
I put it in pencil.
A rain date for that.
I assume that the rain date will be the following week. We have not had a planning meeting yet for Community Day,
Ah.
but I think you can presume it will take the general shape that it has taken for the last 18 years. It's just the date. I'll go out on a limb and say we will almost certainly continue using not just the softball field, but the walkway in. That works really, really well for having those extra vendors set up and then having the more community-based organizations on the field. I think everybody liked the layout
I
last year.
love the layout
Yeah, I
last
do.
year.
We brought our trailer last year.
Yeah.
So it was nice.
Yeah.
So people should bring in the trailer, maybe, got to be available and people to sell T-shirts and hand out maps.
When you put out that flyer, you
It's
might
on my
want to say that
calendar.
there's limited handicap parking. Because when I did the Maker Fair, we didn't even sell T-shirts. I ended up being,
Traffic director.
Whatever.
Yeah.
and all of a sudden, people were coming in and, there was no more place to park. And I went up to the people that were out at the road, either not letting them in or whatever. And, would say to them, I got two places that, people, and it got to be that there was no communication up at the top.
So we definitely needed more on-site volunteers for Maker Faire, so I presume that that will be the same for Community Day. Because one thing, Lucille's right, one thing that different setup does change is it turns Riverside Park, or as I like to think of it, Riverside parking lot, from a parking lot into an actual park for a day. And it does sort of limit that aspect of it. We do have the space for handicap parking, up near the front from the gazebo sort of to the opening. But it is probably not quite enough.
Oh, no. And, it had just been seeded.
Here comes Charlie, by the
Oh.
way.
And, it was like, well, they parked there anyway, I mean, there was no way that I was big enough to stop them.
Yeah, we definitely needed more traffic flow volunteers at the beginning and end of the day. We had a couple of traffic and parking issues that were resolved, but there was a whole series of people who were parked down by the softball field who shouldn't have been there. And if it had been the original weekend when we had 3 or 4 food trucks booked, that was where the food trucks were supposed to go. So that would have been problematic because it was the rain date.
Yeah.
And we ended up with only 1 food truck and 1, barbecue vendor.
Yeah.
It didn't have that much impact, but if it's on the regular day, but those are the mistakes that.
And
they'll
the
learn
rain
from.
date really cut down on the attendance. I mean,
And
it was
absolutely,
like.
rain dates are always killers.
Well, yes, and I mean, even some people came, and did say that, they expected more people there, and I said, the rain date, what do you.
If the weather the prior week had been acceptable, the attendance,
Oh, yes.
you can't know if it would have been the same as the prior year.
Yeah.
I guarantee you it would have been better.
Oh, of course.
As soon as you move an event, you are moving into plans that people have already made.
Yeah, well, even some of the vendors that didn't show up, it's because they were going.
Yeah.
They had their year planned out, but all in all, it was the thing that I never got to, where I was supposed to go to sell T-shirts, I never got there. And when I walked in, she said, "You're gonna do this." I said, "Oh, okay."
We should block off those parking places where we put the food trucks with caution tape or something until the trucks arrive.
Yeah, we'll get barrels.
It's
And we
easier-
have barrels at
It's easier
DPW.
than
just
trying
nobody
to find the
grabs them.
people and chase them out of there because you don't know who it is once they park there.
That's right. And they were all told, right when they came in, that we checked them off. They said, you can either park back over here or back over there. You can't park. And they sent them to the library parking lot, but I'm sure the ones that parked there just went.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what happened. So we needed to have more volunteers at that end. We had probably enough at the entrance in the morning, but not enough flowing people out to the other end. So anything that happened at Maker Faire could potentially happen at Community Day, but there's also, I think, a deeper pool of volunteers who are used to working.
And we won't be cleaning the trail the same
We won't be cleaning the trails.
day.
So
Yeah, the art show.
I don't necessarily want to volunteer anybody, but maybe if you ask the fire departments, they have fire police,
Fire police were on site.
but maybe only from one station because from community, maybe.
Yeah,
I
they were
don't
only
think,
from community.
what I'm saying, we have 4 other departments that have fire police. If we put kind of just an ask,
That is an
we might get
excellent
some volunteers to.
observation. Of course, they won't be coming from East Thompson because you're barbecue and chicken.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of how to get the barbecue down there. I really am. We
It
do
really-
good.
Well,
It
yes,
would
you.
be so fantastic if you could get it
But-
down there.
Is there a pit down there? No.
It's real literally 2 lengths of these tables, if not a little bit more.
What are
Does
they,
somebody have,
they cinder block?
Just cinder blocks, and we put the briquettes in there, and we
Yeah.
have these big, I don't know what you call them, where the chickens get
Oh,
squished in
screens.
between, so you
Yeah.
can turn them over and
Yeah.
just spray
So
them.
if you
and-
put like,
If
if you put cement board down underneath to protect the grass a little bit, well, grass probably be wet anyway, so you can put cement board underneath, build up the, and then put your wires. That would be a lot of work, but could be done.
does any apartments have like a mobile trailer with one of those in it?
Yeah.
Nothing like, remember like, Butts roast beef?
We don't know, again, every department that does theirs has their own pits,
Yeah.
like behind, like we
Right.
rebuilt ours a few
Right.
years ago, because
Yeah.
we had a mishap, but
Yeah, because we have a pit in our yard
yeah,
also.
I mean, if you look at drafters,
Yeah.
which used to be Knights Club, they have their pit that's built there, like.
Yeah.
No one's organized to do a roadshow type thing.
No,
It's a thought. I don't know. We have a meeting
Mm.
this week. I don't know how, bring it up and see what happens.
yeah,
See what happens.
Or could you cook them all there and bring them?
That's what I was
Yeah.
just thinking that. or could
That'd be
you-
a lot of traffic. That's, it's not like it's
Keep it in mind.
community or West Thompson even. I mean, and I would say even West Thompson would be like just on the border of how far away you'd want to be doing food runs. East Thompson's way too far.
But then it also runs.
They
into
had a
some
pit
other
at
certain
St.
cabins,
Joseph.
So you don't get bacteria. or
no,
anything.
they had a pit at St. Joseph.
Did they? I don't know.
They had, I
Yeah.
don't know anymore.
How
'Cause they-
about behind community? Do they have something behind there?
Community has,
They do, but again, I can't speak for them. I'm not a member of that fire department, so.
Valley Springs has pits.
Yep.
That would be a feasible run.
Just cut the fence. Open the fence up for.
I've
Half a
roasted
day.
pig on that.
Well, if it was a pig roast, we could do that. Because we have a pit that moves for that.
Ah,
Actually, so we have a roaster too. If you did a pig roast, I could
Right.
loan you our roaster box.
how about your clam cakes and your chowder?
That's coming up less than a month. I don't know the exact date, but it's coming up. Yeah. But those, again, we have 5 friolators and we can't even keep up with the 5 industrial friolators. When it's busy, so.
thought for another day. Okay, turkey trot guy.
Okay, turkey trot. Yeah, actually, I just asked Brian because I don't remember seeing the Teague presentation in the Villager, but we did the presentation.
I saw it.
Was it? Okay,
Pretty
maybe
sure.
there was one issue I didn't get at home. That's probably the one. So we did that. Of course, I was affected also by Brian and Amanda being out. So I did draft a late thank you letter talking about the success of last year and asking people that we hope they'll be on board again this year. They sent that out right after they came back from their leave, or Brian before Amanda came back. I know because I got a copy. And actually just today's Monday. Yeah, just this morning, I drafted a new letter for sponsorship, specifically targeting people that we've asked in the past and are resisting giving us, or sponsored us in the past and have dropped off. So I kind of made this appeal targeted at them instead of the people that are already on board. You know, I'm saying this, we have like 40 companies, mostly from Thompson, and when we'd like you to join our neighbors, I emphasized Trails Committee, because a lot of these people say, oh, well, we already give to Teague. So I pointed out, yeah, money goes to Teague and recreation, but Trails, this is our income. This is what we run on. We get nothing from the town. We've used the money for equipment like the mower and stuff. So it was a very targeted letter. And I don't think he sent it out yet, but we'll send it out to people like Drafters and Numa and Riverside Pizza, and even Neil Patel, who we've asked before, and they either don't give or they dropped off. Landry Flooring didn't give last year after being in it for years. So that's going out first. Our regular letter usually goes out towards August for the ones that did contribute last year. And we're putting together our first meeting either towards the end of this month or the beginning of July.
Okay,
Ask you a question about that? Because last year, we've done the kids, whatever you call it, fun run race, I don't know what it's exactly called. And I said that I would make some obstacles. Are we gonna have a place to store them once we use them?
Depends on what you need for storage.
Well, that's what I was talking about making, which looks like a seesaw, but it's something that you walk over and it goes to the other side. They had it at Touch a
Potential of
Truck.
injury, hi.
No, not really. It's not that high off the ground.
How wide,
They had it at Touch a Truck. That's where I got the idea.
how wide is it?
I want to say that.
How wide is that?
Oh, that's like a 6x6, I believe.
I was thinking you could store it in my yard and use it as a dog agility thing. Because I store all my stuff in my barn, but the tires that we use is stored over at the building at Riverside Park. I don't know how much room they have in there. Brian would tell you that.
I'm thinking of making 2 of them. Just, I don't think that I can get the lumber free and I just would have to buy the pipe.
now what is this for?
The kids, I don't know, what do we call it?
I think we still call it.
So
And
we were just looking for other obstacles. We had some stuff.
yeah,
for
we
them to
had a
run.
lot of success last year
Oh,
with
okay.
doing obstacles for the first time. I did a couple. Day Kimball did a couple for us, and John said he wanted to add a couple this
I've
year.
had this in my phone for years since Touch a Truck at Thompson Speedway. Well, they had the fun run for kids and that was part of it. And I'm like,
Oh,
I could make
So,
one of
so they
those.
gotta run across this?
You don't really run across it, but you go up and it goes down. It's like a
Okay.
seesaw.
Okay.
Oh.
All right.
But I took all these pictures to make them and I want to make them.
One anyway, and if it works, you do a second one next year. Then storing 2 could be a problem. No, 1 is probably sufficient.
Okay, so we're on to social media, PR, outreach, maps, brochures, and flyers and decals.
We have decals?
I have a comment, 2 things. First of all, I apologize for coming in late. I've been ill and I was in bed at 7 o'clock. I sent out information to many of the members of the Trails Committee and also to Economic Development Commission regarding a permanently installed bicycle repair stand
We're not up.
like the
I
one.
don't
that-
think we're talking that yet, Charlie. We're on social media.
Well, I don't see, my screen is locked up. I only see
Okay.
4 people on the screen. And I don't see, I have no control over the agenda, but I see agenda locked up. Where else would it go?
Hold on to that, because I was going to mention it under equipment, which is just a couple of
Just down
things
the-
down the road here.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. I'll wait.
All right, so we're on it, social media, PR, outreach, maps, brochures, flyers and decals. And he's asking about decals. Do we have a decal?
Can we get a decal for the Kubota?
Yeah, that's what I was
That
thinking. I
what
thought we were going to do a
we
decal
never
for that.
had. Well, we got the decals for the trailer. So we
Right.
need more.
We did, we never got anything on the Kubota because he did the trailer. And we never did anything to the Kubota. So we could, and I could go see him and do that. I just kind of fell off my radar. I'm not gonna lie.
I think we mentioned as you're down on a trail, people think you might be just ATV driving through the trail and they get kind of upset.
Okay,
I'll talk.
to identify the Kubota.
Yeah.
I just want to say, and Charlie, listen, that bills are coming in, but they're sitting in the mailbox and not getting paid. So if anybody's just remind me, if you know bills are coming in for the brochures were sitting there, this was the Porta John, wasn't paid, but like if you're gonna do the decals, just alert me or Charlie to go make sure the bills, when they come in, they
So-
get to the finance department.
I'm not gonna lie that Dave will send me an invoice, like email it to me and then I forward it to you. That's usually what he
Yeah,
does.
I
He
mean,
doesn't
that's-
send anything through the
Right,
mail,
but I'm just
really.
saying, I found stuff in the mailbox from Karen Graphics like a month or a month, so
Oh.
it's not getting where it should go. Charlie, your treasurer, I thought you were checking that. Okay,
Okay.
I'll
I
try
hear-
to check more often, but I thought you were doing it.
Well, I hear what you're saying, and I was doing it, but I noted about the year before last that the title of treasurer dropped off of my name on the website. and I thought must been a vote that I didn't know about.
Well,
No.
we have-
Almost
just
everything
saying
that
we
had
have
been
to
coming
keep up with
in. I mean, this is the first that I heard of it. I will resume the responsibilities. Thank you for
this.
bringing it
Okay,
up.
thank you. I thought you were doing it.
I've been filling maps on Lowell Davis. I don't go to any place else, and they're not getting taken nearly as much as during COVID. So like I'll fill it with 12 maps in the last a month. Although the copy I'm using is kind of faded, and I don't know, we never did update that with the QR codes, and that just kind of dropped off. I'm still using the old 10-year-old map.
You don't have a digital copy of that? The print?
I don't
That's
think
not
so.
what he's putting
I
in
just
Old David?
scanned mine.
The only brochures that I have are for the train wreck. It's like there's
Right,
no
he
maps.
does the
or-
train wreck. I do the trail map for airline
Thought we
trail.
allocated money for that to get copies of the trail maps too.
And I've got them, and because of my printer contract, my ink contract, it's not a problem. I've got a stack of another 50 at home ready to go, but
When
I
did
just
you-
thought we talked dating it year before about dating it with the QR codes and putting fitting in 8x11, 8.5x11. So I'm still using the old form.
So when I had the train wreck maps done, I had them done at Karen's. And after that, I asked them for a quote for the trail map. And the problem, the trail maps are color. If they're black and white, they're really hard to distinguish between the trail and everything else. And their price was 3 times higher for the
A color.
exact same thing with the color.
Of course. Yep.
So something I was thinking about, a lot of times you go to a restaurant and they'll have these placemats with advertising all on it. Could we get something like that and maybe on the backside have a big map, but have, sponsors that would actually pay for that rather than paying for that ourselves? I don't know how that, does anybody know how that works?
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
I thought that we were getting sponsors originally for the map. Charlie? You remember this?
I do. But that was like 2015 that we started talking about that. And when it stalled, I went to the side and this new version came out, especially the airline trail map, that was superior to what we had.
The Z fold, you mean? So do we still need, if we've got the Z fold map? I mean, they don't fit in at the kiosk.
Yeah, you can't put those in there. They'll drop to the bottom and you can't pull them out.
They're pretty small. If you're really looking for a trail like the airline trail or the tri-state map trail on that.
I mean, what I'm putting there is fine and people take it. I'm just saying if we had an updated version and there was that talk of the QR codes, and I know the map was, it became an 8.5x14 with the QR codes, and that's too expensive to copy, and I can't copy 8.5x14.
Oh, Brian, you're right. But what we've learned since is the way that the QR code was incorporated into the airline trail map. It doesn't have to be down off the end. It could be superimposed in a corner of the airline trail map that doesn't, an hour map that
Right.
doesn't have anything on it already.
Yeah, because you don't use that whole.
Correct. So I've learned that there's ways to shrink this thing down. We could go to a standard 8.5x11. And another thought is if we could have adequate dispenser of some sort for the Z-fold map, that's a different way to solve the problem. So anyway,
If you got a map with a QR code on it, and the QR code basically gets you to the map, but you already get the map in your hand, what is the QR code really doing for you?
yeah, we were talking about sending it to as the one on the airline trail does. It sends people to the other business in town.
Restaurants and things like that.
So either we use the same QR code and duplicate it, or we say that a better method has come up and find a way to support that.
Unless you had a bigger map with a whole bunch of QR codes where you could go there to give you a blow up section, a map of that. that
Well, yeah,
section.
but you know, once a QR code is used, it brings you to a landing platform, and after you're there, you can find the other. So instead of cluttering up the map with lots of QR codes, we put one there. It says, want to do more hiking or something like that. And when they scan that, it brings them over to our page with the list of all the trails and the availability of maps that they can download.
Two things
So
that
we
I've
only
seen.
need one QR code on, if we continue to print up the maps that we have, we can shrink them. And we can put a QR code in a appropriate spot where it would be visible and not have to add the extra paper and the cost. So, but then the backs of these are blank, aren't they? Or where are they? I haven't seen one in so long.
Yeah, I don't know what file you have, but I'm confused because we gave the file to Renee, who was adding codes. I don't know who's got what now.
So you'll have to follow up with Renee tomorrow and see what
I will
file
look-
she has for what
I-
map.
I'll check my files also. I may have had the last one because I took it to the printer up on Dudley.
So two things that I wanted to say, if we keep up with technology and what's going on today, why do we even have paper maps?
Yeah,
I'm just
because-
saying, it costs money, it kills trees. Like if you have a QR code that's at the kiosk that people can take their phone to, and they just do the kiosk, they use that QR code off of the
post.
post. So I've seen it at a couple different places and I could look on my phone for it, but and we don't have this, so I know we don't, but I'm saying one place that I went to, they had tiles, like, and one of the tiles was a QR code and you went up and took a picture of the QR code, which was a tile. And it gave you a map of where you were. So you could walk around. I want to say it was like Botanical Gardens where I was. It was in Florida at the time. But I'm saying on our kiosks, just for the airline trail, again, there's a kiosk down for Fabian Road, but you could have a QR code that's there that could bring you to the map of whatever. Then you cut out the paper part.
Or you have, mix, yeah, you have the QR code and maybe you still have paper maps for the people that need them.
Well, the paper maps are popular as evidenced by the fact that we're talking about ordering a new supply. And there are a segment of the society that don't have smartphones, probably never will. How much we allocate for that segment of the society?
2% of the population.
Yeah.
Yeah, and are they
that's-
hikers?
Well, if they're hiking, they probably got a smartphone, they got GPS locator and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, that's you, but you've been a high-tech guy all your life, Paul. I could
Do
probably
you do
find,
anything, do you do anything like that on the informational posts that Last Green Valley does, like down in Pomfret? Is there any,
We have talked about QR codes at one point, like many years ago, like 5 years ago, we had a QR code and I don't know what the reasoning behind dropping it was, but we dropped it. And now they're talking about bringing it back. So we have it
But it's a good
very,
idea.
very seldom
You lost it.
used, but we have
Some
used
other
it in
place
the
where you can
past.
sign, you can have
okay.
just for that area.
Just while I'm asking you about that, is there any information about them putting more of those posts up in Thompson? I know you, a couple of years ago, said that you were collecting that information and we were working on that.
Well, the signage that was supposed to have been developed for the Airline State Park Trail, I thought has been turned over to Matt Quinn. I never saw it posted on any of your intersections with any of the streets, so I don't know if it's actually been done or not. But I thought the signage was made and it did not have QR codes.
Yeah, we haven't gotten any of that yet. I still remember seeing it from Tackle the Trail down in Pomfret, but it never made its way up to Thompson's Airline Trail.
Let me check with Matt Quinn.
Thank you.
Douglas too, in the Douglas State Forest, they get all their trails marked, like really well. Not necessarily the markings, but like if you're walking up the Southern New England Trunk Line Trail and there's a trail that goes off of there, there's a little sign that says, I can't even think of the name of the trail, but it's showing you where it goes. And there's actually a lot of
Last Green
signs.
Valley says the length of the next segment, the altitude change and all that stuff, just the information on that section of.
You know, it's the kind of thing that if you really wanted to have real deal signs, you're talking about going out for another grant because they're not cheap. I mean, they might not be expensive the way street signs are expensive, but you know, anything durable enough, you know, and a series of them, it's going to need fabrication, it's going to need design, it's going to need installation. Now, I can tell you that 2 years ago, when I wrote the grant for the townwide wayfinding system, which would have included some trail signs at kiosks, the estimate we had in January or February of 20 was for a total project cost of about $157,000. But that was signs throughout the town, on roads, bigger than you'd be talking about at a trail. But even so, you should, it's not inconceivable that we could go out for another grant for something, but we need to start thinking about it and then looking for the programs.
Yeah, but signs for the airline trail should be consistent with the rest of the towns.
Right,
This is something
right.
that's well known.
But it's a
Task
state-
force is theoretically working on, but we haven't had a meeting on that for forever.
And I'm gonna say, don't forget that it's a state
That's
thing
right.
and we can't
No,
dig holes to put a storybook, blah, blah, blah on different
That's why I was
places.
referencing these signs, because Last Green Valley has installed them and did pay for them, however they do it, their grant or whatever.
And the answer is we can, we just need their permission. We need to tell them where they're gonna go. And I mean, we have 3 signs right now on the airline trail, which weren't there before, which are the ones that we installed last October as part of the train. You know,
Yeah.
you can install, you just need to make sure that
through the
everybody
right
is,
hoops.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and that particular project didn't even involve that many hoops because CT Deep is so in favor of the work that we've been doing up here with Trainwreck Park. For something that went deeper into the trails, you might have to, you know, have a detailed plan. That's all.
Even talking about signage, I think it would be nice if we had mile markers on the trail that says you're at marker. Again, thinking emergency guy. I'm in the woods on the airline trail and twisted my ankle and I can't get up. Okay, where are you? Oh, I don't
Diane has
know.
raised her hand, by the way.
I left blah, blah, blah road and this, you know, you're gonna figure out where they are as opposed to if there's a mile marker sign, like I just passed mile 5 in Thompson.
That's a good idea.
The heat
What
tab
about, like-
signs that were produced were from Connecticut DEP. Lori Giannotti got them made. They were done by prison inmates. And they had done the whole from Pomfret all the way to Lebanon. So when the Thompson round of trails was assessed, that was just before Lori retired. And it went to her. I was under the assumption that the signs were made by the prison inmates. She had some kind of a deal, worked with them. Like I said, I got to check with Matt to see what happened with that.
So you can maybe check with Brian Wilson then, since he's the one who stepped into most of Lori's
Okay,
stuff. He might have some insight on that. He might not. I mean, you know, who knows?
Yep.
Yeah, that would be cool, because again, if they're from Lebanon all the way to Pomfret, you want to have, again, consistency in the signing, and
yeah,
it doesn't make sense that Putnam and Thompson have been left out of it.
Well, it's because of the gap in the trail, I'm sure,
Yeah.
that it's just looked at separately, but, you know, they will come.
the intent
Especially if
was to
they've been
make them
made.
all uniform.
Mhm.
so do we want a motion that you are looking for decals to put on the Kubota? Do we need to do, or can we spend that without having to do a whole standing on our head?
I thought we already agreed to that
Yeah.
long time ago, even before we got the decals that went on the trailer.
I don't remember
Well,
discussing
make
it.
another motion.
Well, it can't be that much, so I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion that we get the decals to put on the Kubota.
I'll second.
So discussion, where do we want decals? Just on the front and on the back?
Wherever they're most visible.
Can you even put one on the back? Be awfully small.
Wherever you got
You
a
can put one
flag,
on the nose of it, right underneath the windshield.
Yeah,
Right.
Probably put one on a tailgate. I don't know what. the
How big,
structure
people have
looks
to
like.
figure that out, right?
I
And
don't know if
then
it's smooth.
They'd
or
have to
not.
be smaller.
what about on the side? I don't think it's gonna be a huge cost difference, like,
I don't know
I'm saying on the side where the
where the
dump
dump is.
body is,
Yeah.
just like on the tailgate.
I think that we have to look at how big they can be to fit in various places. And if we find that at a 6-inch, we've got 4 places on the Kubota we can put it, but at 8-inch, we can only put it on 3, then let's go with the 6-inch. Whatever works best.
I'll say, I'll
And-
bring it down, you tell me what you can do for signage,
That's
what you
it.
think.
Yeah,
Have-
easy,
we'll have
easy
to
enough.
decide.
He's already got the,
Sorry, the logo.
Yeah.
he's got this already, I mean, he
Yeah.
made the shirt, so.
Okay,
you should have the color one.
I think the color one would probably be better.
Oh, he has that from the trailer.
He has that too, because he did the trailer, yeah, he did the big,
Yeah, I thought we were getting everything.
I got an idea that I think would fit in this discussion point. Don't have to decide tonight, but I was thinking about another awareness raiser, like these shirts, which we're not making a lot of money off of, but a new niche that would be something like I support Thompson volunteers, or I support volunteer crews in Thompson, or something that would people could buy, they could wear it. It gives more awareness of the fact that we need volunteers, and we work well with volunteers. So it was a thought that occurred to me. Actually, what I wanted was when John and Paul and I were out on working on the, and Brian were out working on the airline trail, the boonie hat. But when I reached out to Dave, he said he doesn't do hats. He doesn't have the equipment for it. And I never pushed more on it, but I don't know. What do you guys think? Is this something that we could get some traction out of?
I'm not sure I understand. You saying t-shirts?
Add us t-shirt. I didn't do anything, but I'm suggesting that we add one that says that I'm a Thompson volunteer or something like that.
Yeah, but I think, Charlie, usually those you give out to the volunteers, you don't have them buy the shirt if somebody's helping you out.
Well, we would have to buy it. And again, it's an awareness raiser. I'm not looking to make money off of this. I'm looking to
I
get
think
people.
we're gonna dilute the trails t-shirt. Purchase.
yeah, I don't see a reason for it.
Okay,
Just another expense too.
another thing to have to,
I was
Schlep
looking
around.
on social media, we're reaching up to 600 people on our Thompson Trails posts.
well, I mean, that's without a lot of,
That was just our most recent cleaning, 600 people reached.
600, maybe we should ask them for donations.
Well, it is, I think I've probably mentioned this before, it is probably worth trying to figure out how to get a donate now button on the trails page. Something that links to the trails account or the whatever, something that finance can manage and flow donations directly to, because you won't capture a lot that way, but you can link to it every time you make a post. And every once in a while, you'll get somebody on payday who's feeling like making a donation. Hey, look, I do it. I don't do it a lot, but I do it sometimes. Somebody gets me in the right mood with their pitch, I'll send them $25, $50,
Are we allowed to do that on the town website?
I don't know why you wouldn't be. But that would be a discussion for finance. I mean,
Help
you've
support
taken
the
donations
trails.
through Venmo, right?
Yeah, Venmo, right?
Yeah. The Venmo just needs to tie back to an account.
Which it does already, right?
So it's probably worth having the talk with Bill about how that would work, and he could tell you if there's some reason it's prohibited. I don't think it is prohibited. We've done all kinds of direct appeal campaigns. We've crowdfunded 3 or 4 times. That's a direct donation appeal. So if there's no conflict for that, there shouldn't be any conflict for just having a donate now button live on your webpage. The real question is, will the structure of our website support it? That I do not know off the top of my head either.
That crowdfunding came through the website or came through social media?
Crowdfunding was set up on a platform that exists for crowdfunding. So the links were included on the website or in Facebook stories or mailed out. But that's campaign based. In other words, it's a finite period of time that you run that. Just having a regular old donate now link that would be persistent would be a different function. That would have to live in the website somewhere.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Civic Plus has space for that, or if the contract that we have with Civic Plus allows for that. But again, that'd be a question to ask Renee. Well, to work out with finance, whether that's feasible. I suspect it is. And then ask Renee to get in touch with Civic Plus to see if we can add the little widget for the donate now.
All right, can we go on to reports from neighboring towns? 12-town task force?
Right, so reports from neighboring towns is Putnam, and some of you were at that last meeting.
So basically, that last meeting was exactly the same as the previous
Yeah,
meeting, but it was open to the public. so
Yeah,
the
instead of
public
being a
could-
Zoom, everyone was there and it was pretty much the same content, the same maps and.
I have all those big maps he had, the physical
Mhm.
maps he. Okay.
So nothing has changed?
I think that's a safe statement. I would also state, my observation was their mind was made up. They wanted to go this way. And
Well,
I
yeah,
think-
they've already prioritized the routes. They've done the studies. So yeah, they've
Yeah.
decided
So which,
what they want to do. They just have to get the property owners involved and the train right of way.
and build a new bridge and build a new
And if they
rotary.
can't get
then-
that, then they do the alternatives. They've got just as many headaches as we do on our projects.
So I
And
advise,
they would love to have a tunnel to get to Mechanicsville under our road, but
oh my
because
God.
there is a culvert there, right, Charlie, that they could make.
well,
into a
there
tunnel.
was, there was an underpass for the train and they just filled it with dirt.
Mhm.
And I agree with him. That makes a world of difference on the project.
Mhm.
But we're looking at just even without the tunnel under Route 12, we're looking at probably $10 to $15 million and 4 to 8 years.
Well, that's
And
just
I
gonna
said,
take-
okay, in the meantime, let's identify a temporary route. I suggested this to them. I can't make them do it. Identify a temporary route, get their first batch of 12-town task force maps printed up, show the temporary route and show the preferred route when time allows it. And then that doesn't have to change. It's not my town. And some people will note another issue that, it's not my bakery, but I think we need to do something about it. So I just raise questions and push until somebody either pushes me back or turns around and goes the way I want to go.
Lane, you've got your hand up.
This wasn't about this. This was more about the Last Green Valley, since I didn't mention it in citizens' comments. I delivered 60 Explore guides between the town hall and the library. They're out, they're hot off the press, and they're there for the pickings.
I got mine in the mail.
Me too.
They
I
look
get mine in the mail
fantastic.
also, but I pick up a few and I leave them in my car. When somebody doesn't know, I go, here. And I hand them out. Yes, I
got
picked up a
great one.
couple.
I don't get one in the mail.
You don't get one in the
You
mail?
gotta be a member, I think. I don't
Oh.
know. Mine must be renewed, need to be renewed.
All right, so,
As far as neighboring towns, just to go back to the run, our partner with the turkey trot, Jeff French, is his name? Yep. His run for Ryan is scheduled July 9th. So we don't have a meeting, I don't believe, before that. If anyone wants to volunteer or just go down and see what goes on, I'll probably be there to help out.
Where is that? That's at the,
Dayville at the park right there at the highway.
Just to go back to the 12-town task force, it's somewhat tangential, but Gene Davies and John Guskowski just asked me last week if I would accept appointment to the vice president position on the council for Connecticut RC&D, which is the parent organization that runs the 12-town task force. So which I told them I would. So whatever updates because yeah, sure, why not? I mean, I'm already on the council, so it's really just a new title. But presumably whatever information comes through, I will see before it even gets out to the general public. But I have not heard any news about scheduling a next meeting for that. I occasionally get some minor updates that the marketing plan that Quinn and Harry is working on for them is progressing. And I think that there was also something going on with the landscape architect's name is Kevin Grindle. I can't remember what it used to be Anchor Engineering, and they've got a new name. But anyway, they're also working on a piece for the connectivity of the trail. I forget exactly what that is, but I know those are going on in the background. It just
Okay,
hasn't been brought up to the task force yet.
I have a infrastructure Zoom scheduled on my phone for Wednesday at 9 o'clock, but I have not seen any agenda or any posting talking about a Zoom meeting. So I don't know what's going on with that.
Okay, so I wasn't on the infrastructure subcommittee, so that might be why I didn't have that Zoom.
But I don't even know if it's happening because I put this schedule in when they initially set it up and things kind of fell apart, I think. Because it seems by now she should have sent out the link for the meeting.
Well, if it's for Wednesday, you might get it tomorrow. She's been known to send them the day before. I'll try to remember to email her tomorrow. We'll see how my day goes. I'm not going to be in the office until the afternoon because I've got that commercial realty networking thing in the morning and Killingly. But I will do my best to remember.
Okay.
Brian, what was the date of that run?
July 9th.
Okay, Connecticut Trail Census.
I have no updates. I've checked on the equipment. It's functional every time I go up there. Well, actually, I sent out an update when I got it. I posted it on social media. Trending is that last year we had the highest number of people using it according to the charts. It's down a little, but it's still trending in an upward direction. It seems that once people felt like they didn't have to be outside to do some recreation, they started doing other stuff.
Still well over where the numbers were
It is.
pre-COVID.
It
Yeah.
is. And it's that way all the way across the state. I mean, there's some places that have like 80,000 people in the same amount of town that we have 500. But it's just because of where they're located. They you know.
Farmington Canal Trail that goes through Southington up to Farmington. That's a
Yeah,
major
population
trail.
density is always a factor.
Plus,
Of course.
It goes where they want it to go. All right, well, on to equipment, tools, status, and
Actually,
maintenance.
before we move on, just one more brief related organization. So as you guys know, I'm also on the tourism district, and an ongoing kerfuffle with the tourism district is how everything in Eastern Connecticut has been called Mystic Country since time immemorial. You may be pleased to know that the district did vote to break the Eastern Region Tourism District into 3 separate destination names. We're not 3 separate regions, we're 3 separate destinations within the region. Mystic Country will actually be Mystic Country, with Mystic and its surrounds. The second one is Greater Norwich, New London. And then the largest in area, which is the Northeast, which is really about half of the district, has been renamed Scenic Northeast. Now, obviously, that just happened, so nothing has flowed into any marketing materials yet, and kind of like with Litter League, I don't think anybody knows how it's gonna happen exactly. There's still some politics involved in it. Some people got really bent that we're not all Mystic Country anymore.
It never should have been. It's been that.
Like
for-
hours away.
They switched it.
You do not want to hear all the back and forth on this, but anyway, for the most part, it was considered to be a favorable change, but it will involve working out how that then filters into the marketing materials. But we are no longer a seashore community here in Thompson. You may be interested
Can I
to
ask,
know.
I'm gonna ask you a question that you can't answer, but why didn't they just call this the Airline State Park region?
Because-
Or Target? or-
Because it's
The quiet
it's a
corner.
bigger, yeah, there were all kinds of names that were tossed out. So it was, done in a workshop process. I actually had been in favor of calling it Green Valley Country, which I believe came in a close second, but the consensus vote was Scenic Northeast.
I like that.
So that is what, at some undetermined point in the future, you can expect to see tourism materials somehow reflecting.
So how did the Phoenix come about?
The Phoenix?
The Phoenix?
No, scenic.
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 Northeast.
Phoenix.
That would be cool, but that's not what it is.
Much better logo,
Yeah,
yeah.
like light a bunch of stuff on fire.
Yeah.
Do we-
That's not what it is.
How do we interconnect with this to get our logo or our information or what we would like to have printed onto the quay of the people at the Scenic Northeast?
Well, the Eastern Region Tourism District is a part of the Connecticut tourism structure. So anytime you have events or whatever, it is still going through the CT Visit website portal to enter stuff like that, which is a clunky mess, but that is how the state has it set up. The other marketing pieces, Quinn and Harry, who is working with the airline trail and worked with us on the Z maps, is the marketing vendor for the Eastern region as well. They
Good.
do come out and they get, collateral stuff, photos, video, and they put it together into tourism campaigns. So that is what our meetings on the district mostly do, because I'm on the marketing committee. I was very briefly on the executive committee when they were sort of solving the legal breach. And then I sort of migrated over to the marketing committee, which is where I've been since. And that's what our meetings are, that, we see the materials they're putting out. They tell us what kind of amplification they get. We meaning the entire region, get millions and millions of hits with people looking at it. The campaigns look great. And now that there is an opportunity for them to be even more specifically targeted for the little sub destinations, I think we'll start to see better results from that over time.
What's the name again?
Scenic Northeast.
I find it more acceptable than Mystic Country, but
What's the southern boundaries that consist of? The borders are?
I'm sure that I have a map somewhere from all those workshops. It's essentially the NECOG region plus, I think all the way down to Voluntown is the southernmost. And then, and Norwich picks up for Norwich, Greater New London, and goes down sort of that way. And then Mystic, Stonington, whatever is actual Mystic Country. And all props to Charlie Tracy from Pomfret, who really took that project on, the renaming of the destinations, and really pushed for that workshop process. And it was really, really good. So Charlie, if you run into him, Charlie Tracy, tell him he's a good egg.
Okay, we're back to equipment, tools, status, maintenance, blah, blah, blah.
Now I can tell you. I got a suggestion that I'm going to be sharing at EDC on Wednesday night and that I have sent over to the librarian. It started when I read an interesting article about a library in California that had tools that they loaned out. In fact, they even have a workshop where you can go in and build things. And I didn't think that would fly here, but most of us have seen the bicycle repair stand that was installed in Putnam. And it has been up there for about 4 years. It's intact. It's not vandalized. And I would like to install one next to the bike rack at the Thompson Library. Split the costs and make it available to the public. So I don't know whether it would be 1/3 to each of the organizations or whether EDC might decide to want to pick up more. I don't know. But I think it's a tool that we could provide that ties in with the concept that we are an outdoor recreational community and bike-friendly community, at least in the making, and costs about $1,500 plus installation. And I'm suggesting also that we have a custom fabricated toolbox that would be locked onto the thing, built right onto it. And it would be a place where you could have chain oil, chain tools, things that are a little bit less common. And yet, if I lived in Thompson and I knew I could ride my bike down there and fix a chain and, do other things like that, spoke wrenches, things like that. But that's just a suggestion. I hope that you all can see that it is fairly inexpensive. At EDC, we mentioned that we're coming up to the end of our fiscal year. That's not so much of a problem with Trails Committee, but thought I'd toss it out. I'm not asking for a vote on it unless maybe a consensus. So that when I talk to EDC on Wednesday, I can say, if I probably won't go talk to EDC and bring it up at the meeting if everybody in this meeting thinks it's a stupid idea.
Well, it sounded like the library was hesitant about that location because of vandalism. But my question besides that is, did they give you any inkling that they were going to be able to give any kind of funding to support it?
Actually, I haven't even turned my computer on until about 7:15 tonight. As I said, I was ill. I still am, but so I'm not caught up on my email. I didn't see anything come back from Allison when I sent it over, but yes, you were in the loop, so you should have seen it.
Yeah, that came out. She said she'd think
But
about
now-
it, but I guess they've had vandalism issues there
Yeah,
and
they
she had
have.
concerns.
I thought they had a closed caption TV system since the vandalism, which was part of the reason why I thought it made sense.
You can
My-
identify this blurry figure.
My question is that the best place to have one of these, or is that where we would want it on the airline trail when we have the?
I don't know that it's the best place.
So
Well, I
There
agree
is
with
one
Karen.
included in the
Yeah,
master.
that's what- yeah.
but
If you have
we
it
didn't
in
get that
town,
funding.
you're probably not too far from your house.
Right.
You know, if you're in the middle of the woods and your bike breaks down, it's probably more convenient that you have something to fix your bike. So
But
it's
yeah,
just-
I understand the location, but I don't think it's the right location. I do think the train wreck park eventually would be, but
It is a part of the whole cloth proposal for the welcome kiosk included that, but we didn't get enough funding for that. It's not impossible, by the way, that we are getting more money for that. Before she retired, Lori submitted it over to like the rest of the grant. I think over to Office of Policy Management as they make their priorities for the end of the fiscal year. I'm not going to hold my breath for that, but it's not impossible that we will see a little bit more money from the state, in which case we could look at some of those other things, but let's
But my
see.
question is if EDC is, I'm trying to talk up for the mic.
Yeah,
If EDC is interested in this, would they be interested in a different location? So we know that a lot of people ride their bikes and they leave from that new road parking lot. Well, I mean, we see it when we have hikes and things there. So if we wanted to do one in town, is that, even if it's not part, we do it before we have a kiosk. If it's just in the parking lot area where the,
Or
you
it
know,
will be.
the porta-john is, and where the
Theoretically-
current kiosk, I mean, if this is a cheap investment, but it's something that people really want, is that a better place to do it?
So theoretically, you could make the decision, you meaning Trails and EDC in combination, and decide on the location later with like a survey, which might make more sense, knowing that there's a need for one somewhere. Where would it get the most use? Or where would it have the most utility? And then you just have to do a little legwork.
My thought too is, again, at the train wreck site, I think it would be a great place, but again, that's still not even put together, so that's, down the road a little
I'd
bit.
want to
but
wait until we had
Yeah.
more done there, yeah.
Mechanicsville, the other end of the trail, I would think that it wouldn't be a bad idea there either. I mean, like I said, if you break down on the trail, at least if I'm closer to either end in Thompson, that there's a place to maybe fix my bike.
Yeah,
Thinking
but-
that,
Charlie?
but if
Yeah,
you're
I'm
at the
hearing
end,
that. I
you
thought,
usually park
as I
there
said,
anyway, right?
as I said a few minutes ago, I thought of the library because I believe they had a closed caption television surveillance, and they have a bike rack, and it's high visible. I hadn't really even thought about the out at the train wreck park, and I'm not married to the darn thing. If it's a good idea, we'll come up with the best location. It's like the decals on the Kubota. It's a good idea. Let's make it work. But if it's a bad idea, I'll drop it.
I think it's a good idea, and I think it would be nice over by the pavilion, like between the pavilion and the trail somewhere. Almost, at the train wreck site. Again, that's still got a long ways to go, but I'm just saying.
You're gonna have the picnic pavilion as part of the turntable, and that's gonna be done first. We could put it there. Doesn't have to be at the welcome center.
It's already
Yeah,
there.
put it there. I
It'd be
guess the
higher-
urgency,
It'd be higher visibility closer to the
The road.
mouth of the.
Of course,
The
yeah, but
only-
people will be going to that area, so.
Like, is that gonna be all natural vegetation in the area where the parking lot is? That's,
We need to see.
yeah.
Well, how permanent is this? I mean, if we
So
bought
the one in
one, can
Putnam
you
seems
move
like it's
it?
cement
Bolt it
slab.
down, right?
That
they
it's cement.
put concrete in the ground and they bolt it to it, so we could move it.
Yeah, but
But my urgency, my only sense of urgency came from the fact that Brian Yashino, the chair of the EDC, commented that we were at the end of the fiscal year and we still had some money. And I suggested this right at the close of the meeting and was told, bring it up again this month. So I did a little bit of research and have some numbers, but I don't have, it doesn't have to be by the library because I thought it was a good idea. If it's not a good idea, then no, we don't want it there. But once that thing is bolted into the ground, it would take considerable work to get it out of there. And if there's any kinds of closed caption on there, we ought to be able to get identification of who did it. I mean, you got to go out there with a pickup truck. You'd have to either
Yeah,
cut
but-
bolts or
But
I don't know.
vandalism is just vandalism. They're just
Yeah.
breaking shit to
I
break
don't think
it.
somebody's gonna steal it because they want it.
Right. They
Yeah.
gotta break it because they're
Yeah,
jerks.
yeah, I was
Well,
gonna say,
that's,
yeah,
that's
vandalism
why I
is-
went down and looked at the one in Putnam. Nobody's bothering that.
So
A
John, I
lot.
don't think anybody thinks it's a bad idea. I think maybe we're in disagreement with the library.
Yeah,
All right, then, following that, I will consider that a consensus that we could move forward. I'll bring it up at EDC. They may have to free up some money or allocate it, earmark it so that it doesn't get lost. And then when we move forward with it, we can say, okay, EDC will come up with. Why don't we figure out half and half, because we don't know what the library, and it might not even be at the library. So, it'd be like $800 or so from each organization, maybe 1,000 if we figure in the labor.
Is there anything up at the school?
All right, thank you.
There isn't anything at the school that I'm aware of. Oh, there might be a bike rack. I
I'm
don't
sure
know.
there's a bike rack
There
of
must
some
be a
kind.
bike
I don't
rack.
know where it is.
But if you're gonna put this kind of a piece of equipment, you want it on a trail.
Yeah, you don't want it.
You don't
school.
want
No,
it.
I just wondered if there was something else in town where people could do this.
But I would think anywhere on the airline trail, people are riding. I've seen people at Mechanicsville. I've seen people at New Road. We also, again, when we were out doing the trail, those people that were driving through this area on their bikes to, I forgot where they were going.
Yeah, they would go for
New
like
York?
a month-long bike ride or
Right.
something.
Those
I don't know.
people that on our work day,
Yes.
they're from the Netherlands and they're doing a world tour and they're tying it in with environmental concerns and humanitarian concerns. They're raising money as they do it. They said it's their life. And I just about turned my bike around and followed them.
I don't think you were that day.
They had bags in the front. And
Yeah.
They go down the trail. I says, where
Yeah,
do you camp?
they
said
they
they
were
go down,
staying,
and they knock on somebody's door and they said, well, can we camp in your yard? And most people let them do that and they get to meet the
Yeah.
people and whatever.
they were staying in Shrewsbury that night. They'd met somebody on the trail earlier in the day and they said, oh, come up to Shrewsbury and stay with us. So,
They were bicycles. Yeah, they had bicycle packs and
Couch surfing.
Yeah.
That's the thing where you just, there's a site where you can just,
Well, they probably go to hostels when they're available
Yeah.
and then they.
Yeah, but even like in Douglas State Forest, there's actually a shelter out there.
A
with
lean-to?
Porta john, yeah, where they could stay. I don't know, you have to make a reservation, I think, or something,
Yeah.
but, so there is things.
Okay, so we're getting off the track here.
But if
need a new
we,
map.
but if we add such a device to repair bicycles, doesn't it require continuous supplies?
it's like a pump, the tools, the fixture.
It's got a pump and it's got all of the tools hang on wire rope.
Attached.
Yeah.
They're all
They're
attached.
attached with chains and stuff.
It's, the one in
It's a
Putnam is
post-
next to the
I
farmer's
know,
market.
it's
Close and all this stuff.
It's
No, no.
attached to the ground.
Yes, but the tool,
Mount your bike.
put your bike up.
The
so
tools
somebody-
are on a cable? you say?
yes,
Yes.
yes.
Wire
But
rope.
again, vandalism, they don't care if they break it, you know.
Charlie, what do you carry as an avid bike for repairs?
Oh,
on your
I've
bike?
got a pretty complete toolkit that fits underneath the saddle. And at my house, I've got a work stand, which, you know, I tune it up before I go out. Most people that do as much riding as I or more are doing that. You know, you want to, but accidents happen, breakdowns happen. And the value that I saw to this thing is for people that don't have the tools, which is why I thought, and it tied in with the library from the article I read in the first place. One track mind.
Yeah, on my bike, I even have a little set of tools and you bring, the frame mounted
Wrenches
pump.
to tighten up your
Yeah.
spokes and-
But having a bike mount is kind of nice. You hook your bike on there. You don't have
Yeah.
to.
No, I see the benefit of it. I don't think we go with an extra toolbox and stuff, especially if it's out in the woods.
No, nobody'd be able to get into it if it's out in the
Right.
woods. But if it's at the library, they could go in, show their library card, get the key, get into those other tools and bring the key back.
So if we're not considering that, that controls the cost somewhat too.
I mean, does it require power too?
No.
It doesn't.
No,
So
You're the
there's no
power.
air, there's no power.
Hand pump.
It's got an
And
air
pump.
pump. So it's got an air pump that
you go
adds
down
about
with-
$800 to the cost of the unit. But I was factoring that in.
On the river trail,
Yeah.
it's right next to that. It's
Oh,
a-
is
it's a
it?
little, it's not that far from there.
Okay. All right.
It's right next to the dog park,
dog park.
actually, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's a nice little setup. It's a one post thing and
Yeah.
everything's all attached to that one. post.
Right down a mile away.
You walk it,
You
come
walk a
on.
mile instead of walking 10 miles.
All right,
We can't account for everything.
So,
Dave.
So any other,
We send a helicopter in the life, start you out of there, okay?
didn't we talk about a blower? I don't know,
blower?
like,
Yeah, I think
yeah.
John and I kind of talked about,
Well, even when we use the mower, when you use the mower, stuff goes all over the place and literally the gator and the mower were covered with leaves and dust and like if we had a blower, when we get back to the trailer, you could blow it off.
There's no catch
you
bag on
guys
that mower?
want all the little toys.
yeah.
No, but I'm just saying,
Yes.
as far as upkeep on that
Yeah,
thing,
yeah.
like literally the shroud on the top where the air gets sucked in was covered with leaves. Like you need to do some kind of maintenance to it, because if you don't blow that stuff off eventually, I don't know, it's just a thought. I don't know. We could use it for other things. As far as trail work, I just wanted to throw it out there. We had a discussion about, I mean, ultimately it'd be nice if you had a little compressor and you could go and blow it, but that's
But I think a little gas blower or maybe even an electric blower.
electric.
I'm
I was
not a
thinking, but when you plug it in and charge, keep the
Yeah.
batteries charged, because even at the town, DPW, we don't have it plugged in. So, because batteries, I prefer the battery ones, but I just don't think it's reasonable for us. But I just wanted to see what the thought was, like I said.
I think
I'm
we need
not a
some
big
kind
fan
blower. I don't know what, you could get a big backpack blower, but that, no. Cleaning your
Get
yard.
carried away.
Personally, I'm not a big fan of the blowers,
did
but I
look.
can understand where
I
they're
would
a
have
good
to look
tool.
and see.
I mean, is this something we could also ask in the selectmen's update or on Facebook for a donation?
Of course, anything we could, yeah.
Try that first on Facebook. see if
Okay,
anybody's
that's a
got
good
it,
idea. I
and
like
get
that
a-
idea.
And get a
We're looking at
price.
Buying something new, we're looking for, your support and donations maybe. You get a used
Put a
one.
wish list at the swap shack.
Pardon me?
A wish list at the swap shack.
You get a used one,
Yeah, and then you
usually
get
you
somebody
have
else's
issues,
problem.
that's why people get rid of it
Right.
or
Well,
whatever.
that's it.
and Get maintenance and things.
Yeah. I'll put it on Facebook and we'll see what goes from there.
All right, get a price.
Gas blowers are around $100 at Walmart.
You still get your discount there?
Yes, I do actually.
Oh, good. Okay, well.
Backpack blowers around 160.
Usually they're more than that, they're like $200-300.
Yeah, well, you're not gonna get real good commercial grade, obviously, from Walmart, so.
I bought a Ryobi. I forgot how much I paid for it. Under
I
200
have
bucks.
electric, I just hate gas blowers that smell and stuff, yeah.
I have an electric one too that I use on my deck, but it's small. So just my thoughts. So I'll do a little bit more research on it. I'll put it a Facebook thing on there. Just that, hey, at tonight's meeting, we talked about, see what we could get.
On the agenda for are we meeting July 11th?
That's what I want to know. Do you asked for that meeting?
You
or
want to
do
meet July 11th?
And then I'm bringing up August 1st. You're not available, so we can't have a
Correct. So
Zoom meeting,
you'll have to have
just an in-person.
somebody else let you in.
I mean, you want to do July and skip August, that's another option. That's why I put.
Or you could
both
meet, you
dates.
could possibly meet in the library, which is a town building, if you didn't want to futz around with somebody else to let you in here. You just have to post that it was a change of location.
Do we have anything else that's pending that like we would need to do July? Or do we want to do July because of Zoom,
Money for the blower.
right? And or for decals? So do we do the July and not the August?
Or you could do it all on Zoom for August, and Brian Liebenstein could be an alternate host. So it would mean not in person, everybody sitting at home in front of their.
Like that.
I mean, I don't mind either way if we skip one. I know we put in there because we had a lot of stuff going on, but it doesn't seem like we have a lot pending, but is it better to miss August or July or? I'm around for both, so it doesn't matter to
You
me.
said, by the way, that wasn't in the village here yet.
What works best?
Presentation.
What works best?
I think I want to tie in with what John just said. We decided to have them every month during the summer because it looked like we had a lot going on. Did we get past that? Do we need to meet in July? And if it's just to meet, if that's the only reason, then I would say, no, we don't need to. I can't think of anything pending. But I'm available.
Do you want to make a motion tonight about the leaf blower?
I'll make a motion that we investigate, isn't that considered additional tools? Do we need to make an extra motion? But if we do,
I'd like to
could
do
we-
something for a money amount.
I'd like to know how much we have in our budget.
Yeah.
Well, sitting on the back of the.
We can't spend money that we don't have.
yeah, and I hadn't been getting reports from Orla for a long time anyway.
Orla's not
Orla
there
doesn't work
anymore.
here.
I
anymore.
know she's not there anymore, but I hadn't been getting stuff. So we'd come to the meeting, and people would ask for a treasurer's report. I had nothing.
Well, right, she didn't reply in time.
I'll go talk to Bill.
Listen, on 6:30, I have a report, so that's a couple meetings ago. We had, without
That's a year ago.
knowing, on June 30th.
Yeah, we haven't gotten there yet. That's last year.
Where is it? Oh, fiscal year. When did he run this out? So this was from 2 meetings ago. All right, on the first of, January 31st, we had $7,763. We also had that in, looks like in March, at the end of March. We've spent 100 for the Porta John and about 100 for the brochures
T-shirts.
and about 700 on the last T-shirt order.
Okay.
So we spent about $1,000.
But we still have over 5,000.
We do, and we don't know if the T-shirts are on top of that. What we have in the T-shirts is.
Okay, so supposing we say we give you $300 to look into a blower.
That should be more than enough.
And, if you don't spend the 300,
Should be enough.
I mean, you don't want to go in and somebody says, blah, 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 and I got to come back here. So I'll make a motion that we allot $300 for leaf blower, whatever you want to call it.
I'll second.
And John, are you gonna drive that or are you gonna do that, Brian?
He was gonna,
I'll do it.
I'm not an expert on what's a good leaf blower. Mine usually fall apart. But if there's something at Walmart and you need a discount, I can buy it.
Okay.
Could be at .com. too.
Okay, so
Doesn't have to be in
now
the
we're at the
store.
point that we don't need a July meeting or we don't need an August meeting.
We
Which
haven't
meeting are
made-
we going to have?
We haven't voted on the motion.
Discussion.
So I'll make a motion that we skip.
Hold on,
July.
Charlie, there's
Wait, there's a
Somebody's
motion on the
responding.
table.
We got a motion already, but somebody wants to talk about it.
Oh, okay.
I'm a big believer in buying local. Is there any way we can not get this at Walmart? And
Well, whatever, I'll look
research it
locally.
local?
Yeah, I mean, I'll look at
All of
the,
our other tools we bought.
Especially if they're giving you 300.
They don't,
I don't-
does that place in?
They have 'em, I'm sure. yeah, I'm
I'm sure
sure.
they do.
They have maintenance tools,
We
so I'll
bought
go,
stuff in
I'll have a
Quinnebog all the
conversation with them.
time, so,
Yeah, the little local business, I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll pay a little more probably, but again, we're
Well-
supporting local business.
Yeah,
That
but then
pays
And
the
Route
tax
one
base.
31?
Right.
Same
Yeah,
item
we
that
got a
my
lot
price
of other
mentioned.
stuff from them.
Oh,
Didn't we
I
get
don't know
our
if it'll be the
chains?
same item, because they carry like
Didn't-
the still,
Didn't we get our chainsaws and other small tools from that guy on 131?
we did, Charlie, yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
all the power stuff. We didn't
Cows,
get the hand tools from
It's
him.
right in the center of Quinnebog. I consider the light, where that light is, to be the center, the fire
I
department's
was
there.
gonna say, that's why did you know it's Quinnebog?
Yeah.
There's a light that stops you.
Every time.
I also, I bought stuff for the fire department through a place in, Woodstock,
Okay.
there's a guy across from the, Woodstock Fair.
Fairgrounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know the name of it. Yeah, I think it is, yes. Yeah, they were pretty good with us for the, fire department,
Okay, well, either place.
so.
I buy my
Yeah,
stuff out
local.
at Tractors to
Local.
Trimmers in Woodstock.
All right,
We have to vote on the motion. We didn't vote on the motion.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Charlie, you had another motion?
I was gonna make a motion that we skip the July meeting and go straight to August.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in
Well,
favor?
So I'll just say about discussion, like I was one who said like we should have more meetings, but again, right now it seems like things did slow back a little bit,
Yeah, we
right?
don't have a
So,
lot going on right now versus with the train park and.
Yeah, I think
stuff
when that
kind of
decision
on.
was made, we were still hot and heavy
Yeah,
in
a
train
lot of
wreck
stuff.
park
There was a
planning.
lot going
Yeah.
on.
And we
last
were
year.
constant, I mean, the agendas were so full, we were barely getting through in 2 hours. I think that pressure is eased back until we can start work there.
I agree.
so, and I'll, oh, so yeah,
I mean,
that
I
was
think
just my
for any
discussion
work
about it.
parties, by sending emails.
Okay.
Have a meeting scheduled.
No.
All right. Okay, skip July, and I'll talk to Brian about if he can host the meeting on Zoom. Otherwise,
Can he host full meetings now? Is he still limited to 45 minutes?
He just has to use Marie's or my login. He doesn't have, Rec doesn't have a login of their own. There's
Because whenever he
There's
did
two logins.
Turkey Trot, it was always 45 minutes and it would
That's
always
the-
end.
That's the free one, right?
Yeah.
So there's two logins for people who host a bunch of meetings. The selectman's office has one that's under Marie's name, but I paid for one out of my office budget because I host so many. So I can give that login to Brian. That's no big deal. And that's an unlimited. It's fine.
Allison can do that also, can't she, at the library?
Probably, but it, Brian and I work here and talk to
Okay.
each other all the day.
so just point of information, if I knew how to and I wanted to host a
Yes, I would give
meeting,
you my login.
no, but so it has to be through that. It can't legally with the town and everything in the recordings. It can't be like just I host it.
I don't see why not, as long as you,
It's only 45 minutes.
as long
Well,
as you
actually, then I
maintain
send
the,
2 links. Is what I've been doing. People have been sending me like a link for every half hour. We just come in again.
that is a way to do it. Well, yeah, so the problem with that is you legally have to post the link. So to be
Hmm.
refreshing with new links, that would be out of bounds. But if you're setting up a link on a free account with a 45-minute limit, there's no reason you can't post that as a part of your legal agenda, as long as you do it 48 hours ahead is now the rule for online meetings or hybrid meetings. That's fine, or you could just do it under my ID. It's not, and then you're not limited at all. You just have to remember to record it to the cloud at the bottom, but none of it's hard.
Okay, first I'll ask Brian. So he's available that day. Okay.
So how do you record it to the cloud? Because when I do
It's just a
record,
function.
it records it locally.
Well, you have an option. Hold on, I'll stop sharing this. Of course, you can't see, but on the bottom toolbar for Zoom, there's,
It's being recorded right now.
mute, blah, 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 and then there's a little more. Right now it says pause recording or stop recording, but if I wasn't already recording, it would say record to this computer or record to the cloud.
That's because you have the paid version.
Maybe.
Get the private version. How does it know what cloud,
You have to set
where in the
that up.
cloud?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Yes, you're right. So probably you would have to record it to your individual device and then, yeah. So you'd be better off using my account in that case.
Can I make a motion that we adjourn?
Please do.
Second.
Charlie seconded. All in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Bonsoir.
Good night.
Wow.
John, if you want to get the Kubota to have Dave put a decal on it, why don't you bring the whole trailer up to my house?